You are sitting across from someone, listening to them speak, when a detail doesn't quite fit. A word comes out slightly rehearsed, or their jaw tightens for a fraction of a second. Deep inside you, an ancient warning system trips. Something is wrong. In that exact moment, nearly every person makes the exact same error. They confront the speaker. They accuse them, point out the lie, and try to win the argument right then and there. Launching an accusation corners a suspect, triggering a biological threat response. Their brain initiates a fight or flight sequence, and their entire demeanor shifts into a hardened, defensive posture. Inside the accuser's head, a cross-section shows a flood of cortisol hitting the system under stress. The prefrontal cortex dims, while the amygdala flares. With both people biologically primed for conflict, the one thing you actually need, information, stops flowing. The pathway completely closes shut. You might experience a brief rush of power from calling someone out, but by showing your hand immediately, you surrender all your investigative leverage. To actually expose a lie, you have to override millions of years of evolutionary instinct. You have to wait. Experienced interrogators operate under a different philosophy. They know that the person doing the most talking is the one exposing the most vulnerability. Instead of going on the attack, your goal is to create an environment free of friction. You become the safest person in the room for them to continue talking to. This starts with the 60-second rule. When suspicion hits, you take a mandatory tactical pause. A minute is enough time for the initial spike of stress hormones to recede and your logical brain to reboot. Step 1 during this minute is locking down your physical broadcast. You neutralize your facial expressions completely. A flash of anger or surprise tells the other person they've been caught, prompting them to adapt. A calm, open, purely observational face offers them zero feedback. By withholding any physical reaction, you force the speaker to proceed blindly with their original narrative, fully committing to the structure they've already built. Step 2 involves the information you already possess. Interrogators call it keeping the hold card. Whatever evidence you have, you never reveal it early. If you tell someone exactly what you know, you give them the blueprint they need to engineer a credible excuse. They will adjust their story to neatly fit the facts you just provided. So step 3 is shifting your communication style. Stop making statements. Start asking broad, unhurried, open questions that require long answers. This line represents a clean, truthful narrative timeline. Lies are fragile constructs. Every fabricated detail requires intense cognitive effort to maintain and protect. As you keep the person talking, they are forced to invent new architecture on the spot. Timelines shift, new characters appear. Eventually, the internal logic of the story will fracture under its own weight. You accelerate this collapse through silence. When they finish answering one of your open questions, simply look at them and say nothing. Human beings cannot tolerate dead air in a conversation. The psychological pressure of silence will compel them to involuntarily fill the void with unprompted explanations and extra details. Combining open questions with deliberate silence forces the target to dismantle their own story. You use their natural urge to defend themselves as the exact tool of their exposure. While they talk, you observe. Hollywood has popularized the idea of a human lie detector who spots a single twitch or a nervous cough and instantly proves guilt. That is a myth. Professionals look for a baseline. This is the natural, relaxed rhythm of a person's behavior when they are entirely comfortable and telling the truth. As this layout shows, investigators catalog specific, subtle data points while the target speaks. They map the pacing of speech, shifts in posture, and the timing between a question and an answer. You aren't searching for a universal sign of a lie. You are watching for abrupt, localized deviations from their normal baseline, signals that their brain is suddenly under a heavy cognitive load. Finding a lie is an exercise in passive, methodical pattern recognition. You gather data points in the background without applying pressure. Eventually, you will reach a tipping point. You accumulate enough inconsistencies, physical deviations, and narrative fractures to complete the map of the deception. You do not yell "gotcha." You execute the final move gently. You place two of their contradictory statements side by side and calmly ask them to help you understand the discrepancy. The realization hits them in real time. They see the trap they built for themselves. Their posture collapses, and they know the performance is over. This strategy prioritizes the safe excavation of facts over the immediate satisfaction of a confrontation. You are looking for the truth underneath the story. True investigative power belongs to the person who can wait. Disciplined restraint is the most effective tactic at your disposal.